In this tutorial we're going to look at creating a high-low game in Python. So how is the game actually played? Well, we're going to have a look at the basic game. Well, first of all, you need to set the parameters of the game. So you need to have a look, well, is the game going to be from 1 to 10 or 1 to 100? So once the user selected the size of the game, we can then go to the next part, which is actually select the random number. This way it's a secret number and the user doesn't know what it is, because that's what they're trying to guess. So next we can actually ask the user to make a guess. From that guess, we can actually see if the number is correct. Is it the same as the secret number? And if they are, we can actually say they are a winner. And if the number is greater than the secret number, we will say they're too high. Or if the game is lower than that, we'll say they're too low. So what do we need to do first? Well, we need to start at the start. You need to set up the parameters of the game. So is the game going to be 1 to 10 or 1 to 100? Well, we could start by actually creating a menu system for the players. So we could have a menu that says, well, if they press 1, it'll be from 1 to 10, a beginner's game. If they select 2, it'll be 1 to 100, which is an easy game. If they select 3, it'll be 1 to 1,000, which is a hard game. Or if they select 4, they'll be 1 to 1,000,000, which is an expert game. So the first thing we want to do is actually set up our Python environment and ask them to make a selection for the size of the game. So I'll be using pyCharm from JetBrains, and we can install pyCharm with the Python environment, and we're going to create a new project. In the project, I'm going to call this high-low, and underneath our project interpreter, make sure that you've actually got the interpreter 3.6 or Python 3, 3.6 or above. So once I've done that, I can then start the game by pressing enter. So now we're ready to create a new Python file. So I'm going to right mouse click the project and go to new and then down to Python file. You'll ask me a name for the file because this is part of the high-low project. I'm going to actually call this high-low game and click on return. Now I have my environment opened up. Now one of the first things I'm going to do is actually just go print. I'll just zoom in here. So I'm just going to print bracket high-low game. And then I'm going to right mouse click and then I'm going to go run high-low game. In our output window down the bottom, you can actually see the title come up, high-low game. This means our interpreter is working and we're getting an output. So one of the first things we need to do as a developer is actually in line 1, place your name. So in this case I've got www.elmarsden.com, but you should put your name up here. Now this is just a comment, it's a developer comment, so it won't actually run, but it's designed for the programmers. So here we have the high-low game. So let's get underway. The first thing we wanted to do was actually create a menu system. So we're going to display something to the user. So we can use this print statement. So I'm going to use print bracket, and in here I'm going to place triple quotes. So I'm going to use triple double quotes. 1, 2, 3. And press enter, enter, enter. This way I've got some blank lines. Now this gives you pre-formatted text. So rather than having to line it up correctly, I can just go 1 dash 1 to 10. And from our earlier one, we can actually have beginner's game. Then we can go 2, have 1 to 100. Easy game. Then we can have 3, 1 to 1,000, and this is a hard game. And then 4 is 1 to 1,000,000. You can put the commas in if you like, and this is an expert. And then we can close the bracket off. So I'm just going to Command S, and then I'm going to run the game by hitting play down here on the left hand side, and you can actually see our menu system come up. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we need to do is actually give the user some information about selecting a level. So I'm going to come in here now and press enter and go game range, so we know which is the start and the end, is equal to, and then I'm going to use an input and then a bracket and ask the user to enter the size of game. Now this needs to be in quotes. So enter the size of game. But I need to give the user just a little bit more information. I'm going to put a square bracket in. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, just so they know that they're the options in square brackets. Then I'm going to put a colon, and then a space, and then a quote. So that way when I do my data entry, it's not hard up against the colon. So I'm going to show the user enter the size of the game. So I'll just put the in front of here. And that will take the input and store that in game range. Also their input, I want to make sure it's a number. I'm going to use a function called int. So when the user enters in 1, 2, 3 or 4, this is as an input. This is then converted to an integer and stored in game range. And then we can use that information to actually set the range of our game. So let's run the program now. So it's got a high-low game, 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter the size of the game. So in the bottom here, we can come across and then go, I want to play size 2 and press enter. At the moment, we can't see what the size of the game is. So I'm just going to go to the end and press enter. And I'm going to go print, quote, the size of the game is, and then I'm going to add a plus sign, and I'm going to str for a string and game range. So tell me the size of the game, but the output, because it's an integer, when I input it here, its game range is an integer because of this int. I need to convert it back to a string so it can sit with some text. So when I hit go, I can then enter in 3, and it tells me the size of the game is 3. So I entered 3 and it knows it's 3. So that is really good. If I don't want to see that comment anymore, I can just put a hash symbol in front of it, and then it becomes a developer comment. Now that we've collected the user's range for the game, we can then convert that into an actual numerical value. So we need to use an if statement. So if the game range is equal to 1. So if they did select 1, we need to set this to 10. So we're going to declare a new variable called game size, and this is going to be equal to 10. Now if it's not this, we're going to use an elif, so else if the game range is equal to 2, then the game size is equal to 100. elif the game range is equal to a 3. Now you notice I've only used one equal sign there in the comparison. We need to make sure there is 2. If we use 2 equal signs, the computer will compare the game range to the number 2. If we use 1 equal sign, it tries to put 10, or it will put 10 inside a game size. So if we only use 1 here, it will put 2 inside a game range. So the same thing happens here, where we enter in 3, and then we can go game size is equal to 1000, and the very last one, elif game range is equal to 4, then the game size is equal to 1,000,000. And so that's how we can write a nested if then else statement. Now the last thing I want to do is check what the game size is. So once again, I'm going to go print game size equals, and then I'm going to use the plus sign again and str to convert the integer to a string and put game size. And I'm going to run the program now. So it's asked me what the size of the game is. I'm going to go with expert. So I'm going to put a 4 in, and when I press enter, it tells me the game size is 1,000,000. So that's how we can set up the first part of our game. Now if you'd like to know how to generate the random number, have a look at the next video in this series. And make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll continue to make these videos in the future.